What if a fight over Greenland rattles NATO while we're still figuring out who's picking up the recycling on your street in Ottawa? Let's connect the dots from City Hall to the Arctic. It's Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. Quick Ottawa forecast. Snow today, with a high of 4 and a low of -19 degrees Celsius. In the city, Ottawa's transition to a new private recycling collector has been anything but smooth. Residents and councillors report conflicting pickup dates and full blue boxes left at the curb. Customer support lines are slammed with calls and emails. The new contractor, Miller Waste Systems, operates under Circular Materials, a consortium of major companies now footing the bill for recycling collection, while the city continues to handle garbage and organics. City staff say the change should reduce pressure on municipal taxes, and some residents do like the expanded list of what can go in the blue box. The early confusion has stemmed from discrepancies between the city's calendar and Circular Materials schedules. If your bin hasn't been emptied, check both lists online and report a miss. Crews are still catching up. On the ice, the Ottawa Senators snapped their 4-game skid with a 2-1 win over the struggling Vancouver Canucks, who are now winless in 8. Artem and Jordan Spence struck 15 seconds apart in the first period to put Ottawa ahead early. Leevi Merilainen made 18 saves to lock it down, while Vancouver's Lankinen stopped 39 in a hard-luck loss. Elias Pettersson had the Canucks' lone goal, capitalizing on a defensive mistake by Dylan Cozens. Vancouver wraps a 6-game road swing in Columbus, but for Ottawa, the result is the jolt they needed. And a fresh move in goal. The Sens have signed veteran netminder James Reimer to a 1-year, one-way deal worth $850,000, as Linus Ullmark remains on personal leave. The 37-year-old brings 525 NHL regular season games and a 225-187-65 record from stops with Toronto, Florida, and most recently Buffalo, where he posted a .901 save percentage and a 2.90 goals against average in 22 games. He played at the Spengler Cup with Team Canada over the holidays and had a tryout with Belleville. Ottawa's hoping Reimer's experience helps stabilize a group that's been among the most generous in the conference and has slid to the bottom of the East after dropping 5 of 7 since Ullmark stepped away. For context, Reimer previously declined to wear Pride-themed warm-up sweaters while with San Jose, citing personal convictions, an episode that preceded the league's broader ban on cause-based warm-up jerseys. The Sens, meanwhile, need saves and stability now, and Reimer should get a look quickly. Elsewhere around the NHL, Montreal coughed up a 2-goal lead but salvaged a point before falling 3-2 in overtime to Washington. Ethan Frank scored both Caps goals in regulation, and Rasmus Sandin had 3 assists. For the Habs, Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher scored, while Samuel Montembeault kept them in it with 40 saves. Impressive considering Montreal played and won in Vancouver the night before. Anderson returned after missing 6 games. In the PWHL, Ottawa's 6-game heater came to an end. Montreal Victoire edged the Ottawa Charge 2-1 thanks to Cheyenne D'Arcangelo, who had a goal and an assist in her first multi-point game for Montreal, after previously playing in Ottawa. Jessica DiGirolamo scored her first for Montreal since signing as a free agent in the summer. Ottawa's goal came from Ronju Savalainen on the power play. Anne-Renee Desbiens made 16 saves for Montreal. Gwyneth Phillips stopped 29 for Ottawa. Both teams went 1 for 4 with the extra skater. That rivalry just got a little spicier. National politics with local impact. 2 leadership races on the West Coast are drawing national attention. In British Columbia, the Conservative Party's leadership contest could reshape the conversation around Indigenous land title, an issue with economic and reconciliation stakes far beyond BC's borders. Meanwhile, the NDP leadership race is tight with no clear frontrunner. Reports suggest Heather McPherson is viewed as the establishment pick, and campaigns are racing to sign up members before a critical deadline, with the national convention coming in March. Remember, BC elections can flip on razor-thin margins, where a small popular vote swing becomes a big seat majority. The ripple effects on resource policy, housing, and relationships with Indigenous nations will be felt nationally. On the climate and economy front, Canada's auto leaders are pressing Ottawa for clarity on electric vehicle rules. Executives from Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis have warned Prime Minister Mark Carney of extraordinary compliance costs tied to uncertainty over the federal EV mandate. Current targets require rising zero-emission sales, 20% on the way to 100% by 2035, but the regulations are under review, with decisions delayed until 2026. Automakers say they need firm direction by the end of 2025, where they risk locking in unnecessary costs in production planning and credit strategies. This isn't just an industry spat. It affects car pricing, charging investments, and the pace of Canada's emissions cuts. In short, business wants the rulebook now, not later. To the far north, a developing story with global stakes. Reports say NATO is reassessing Arctic security, and that European allies like the UK and Germany have discussed a military presence in Greenland, partly in response to renewed U.S. interest in the strategically vital island. President Donald Trump has previously expressed intentions to control Greenland for U.S. national security. Rhetoric that Inuit advocacy groups and Greenlanders in Canada reject as colonization by another name. As the Arctic Winter Games approach, organizers plan to proceed, but tensions are rising. A former Canadian Forces commander warns that any U.S. move to take over Greenland could unravel NATO and upend the post-Second World War security order. For Canada, it's not abstract. The Arctic is both a front line of climate change and a corridor of strategic competition. As sea ice recedes and shipping lanes open, the pressure to secure infrastructure and Indigenous sovereignty will only intensify. A quick media note for your cue. CBC's This is Ottawa, hosted by Robin Bresnahan, drops new episodes every Monday, tackling everything from rent pressures to the city's classic diners. Newsletter is another way to stay plugged into the National Capital Region's people and events. Across the network, new seasons of series like St. Pierre and Still Standing are rolling out. And if you split time in the GTA, the TO Do List newsletter has monthly picks and contests. Back to our backyard before we go. If your recycling hasn't been collected, don't assume it's you. This has been a citywide transition with crossed wires. Check both the city site and circular materials schedule, and report misses so crews can circle back. On the Sens, the Reimer signing signals urgency. Points in January are worth the same as in April, and Ottawa needs them now. And on the national stage, watch those BC leadership races and the EV mandate decision. They'll shape policy debates here in the capital. That's it for today. Snow out there, so take it slow. A high of 4 and a low of 19 degrees Celsius. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with more Ottawa, more national context, and all the hockey you can handle.